I don't need to tell you that the world is in crisis. We have amazing advanced technologies, yet we are unable to eliminate poverty and climate degradation. Every day that passes, the need for energy grows while the supply diminishes. But I believe there's one thing holding us back, and that's our mindsets. It comes down to a basic choice. Either you believe anything is possible and that the state of the world can change for the better, or you resign to the fact that there's nothing you can do. If you believe you can't make a difference, then you won't. If you're a visionary, you would point out that anything is possible. As long as you believe that there is a way, you will never stop looking for it. A few years ago, I was sitting on a ferry in Ireland, contemplating the world economic crisis. Like the rest of the world, Ireland's economy has gone bust, and more people are depending on the state to provide for them. Obviously, this is not a sustainable scenario. While I was sitting there, I became aware of how the ferry was bobbing up and down in the harbor. That's a massive 40-ton lift every couple of seconds. I started to wonder why this energy is not being put to good use. Then I had a spark of inspiration. What if the energy crisis and unemployment could be linked? If all those unemployed just started building cheap renewable energy components, that would create jobs, create energy, and it will alleviate the strain that's currently on the environment. That's three birds with one stone. The week before, I was watching a presentation by the writer Elizabeth Gilbert. She made the point that so many people have creative ideas but don't react when they get that spark. So I grabbed a pen and jotted down my basic premise. Unfortunately, I was in my comfort zone at the time, so the idea just became another good intention on the shelf. A few years later, my life got derailed, and I was forced to take a long, hard look at what I really wanted to do with my life. I needed a higher purpose. Just working 9 to 5 and having an ordinary life was no longer good enough. I traveled to New Zealand looking for answers. It was there that I realized that if you want to have a meaningful life, you have to look past your own self-interest. My old idea resurfaced, and this time I gave it more attention. So I started thinking on how to implement the plan. For maximum impact, I decided to base my business model on the social business concept laid out by the 2006 Nobel Peace Laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. Next, I considered where in the world I could implement this idea. So Africa was an obvious choice. Due to the energy crisis, South Africa has opened its national grid to any independent power provider, as long as they can provide a respectable quantity. Furthermore, additional green tariff is paid if this energy is from a renewable source. Next step is to get the rural communities involved. If someone were to train the communities on how to construct simple generators, they would be able to sell the electricity and make a small income for themselves, while helping the country's economic growth. Obviously, they would be too small to sell directly to the national grid, so instead they sell electricity to the venture company. That is where the power of the business really lies. By taking a reasonable percentage of the profits generated, the company can generate enough income to start another project. This is the core strength of a social business. It's not about profit, it's how many people you can help. The technologies I have in mind are wind generators and my own wave generator idea. The wind generators are an obvious choice. They are simple and easy to construct and maintain. The only disadvantage is that you need wind and space to deploy them. Luckily, there is a major research in this area, so finding an optimal solution won't be a problem. I'm not considering solar power at this stage. Basically, I believe it cannot be constructed independently by rural communities at this time. I want to avoid dependence as much as possible. However, I'm sure someone will figure out a DIY solar generator that's effective enough for rural deployment. The second technology I'm considering is the wave generator concept originally envisioned on the ferry. Again, the focus is on simplicity. Please view my other video on this for more details. In summary, the company will work in partnership with the local community. The company will provide the training, the materials, as well as the support for selling the electricity. The community, on the other hand, will provide labor for constructing, deploying, and maintaining the simple generators. Profits would be split, and the social business grows, and more people can be helped. As the famous Arkham Razor states, the simplest solution is most likely the correct one. With the main focus being on the developing countries, it's imperative that the concept must be executed with minimal resources and know-how. The Focus must always remain on one thing: helping people help themselves. This is not a charity. In the end, it's about sustainability, giving the power back to the people.